Be in the Georgian military. Watch duty with a buddy in the middle of a semi-wooded area, near the Russian border, an Abkhazian state that is also a mountain. I have the high ground. Have shitty AK-74. Middle of the night. Just chatting with the buddy. Hear a sound coming, like buzzing and gargling. Look down from the hill. Nothing there, or whatever that thing was, is hiding behind a tree. Ask the buddy what it might be. He thinks it is an animal, but we don't care. We have guns. See something moving. It is a bush. Bush is moving towards us. Not a ghillie suit. A big bush like 4 meters. We warn it. We shoot a warning shot in the ground and air. We are screaming at this point. We start to shoot the bush. Nothing happens. When it got closer, I saw these sticks under it, like it was using its branches to walk towards us. I had 57 bullets on me after the first mag was gone. I ran back. So did my buddy. We were running to the base on a hilly area. Reach base. Tell Sergeant what happened. After giving us a disappointed look, goes outside with both of us. The bush is still moving. Towards the fucking base. I saw it, my buddy saw it, fucking Sergeant saw it. He thinks it's a ghillie suit. Shoots it with better aim. Nothing. It still comes towards us slowly. Goes closer to the bush. He sees it. Confirms it is a moving bush. Tells us to go back to the base and get the others. 2 more people come out. 5 people now, watching a fucking bush move. One guy says it's a new thing made by the Russians to fuck with us. Go back to base and lock every building up. 2 guys are on guard. Sergeant is making a call and not getting believed. The bush fucking stops outside the base. Go to inspect it. It has stopped moving. It is a normal bush now. It is now 6. The sun is rising. Sergeant goes to look at the bush. Sees it is a normal bush. Fucking cuts the bush with a hatchet. Pours motor oil to its stomp. Burns the bush. Get home. Make this post. I am scared of bushes now. It was a berry bush, if it makes a difference. I have a cabin in buttfuck nowhere, Colorado that I decided to go up to for a couple of weeks. No internet, a single landline phone, and state-of-the-art for the 1980s. On Wednesday, April 10th, Colorado had a blizzard. It wasn't too bad in cities, but where I was, it was horrible, and that's all the background you need to know. Be sitting in my cabin stoking the fire during buttfuck blizzard, hanging out and watching some DVDs on a CRT older than Father Time himself, since I can't go outside. Constant howling of the wind. Turn up volume. Eventually get up to piss, so I pause movie. Wind is no longer howling. Didn't notice since TV was blasting. Find it strange since it's been doing it for 4 hours now. Thank fuck it's over. Take a few steps until I hear it. Click. Look around. Literally have never heard this clicking noise, and I've been up there for 5 months now. Click. Realize it's coming from outside. A branch probably snapped and hit my cabin, and is rocking back and forth or some shit. Fuck me, I'm not going outside. I can deal with the noise. Standing in bathroom. Begin to piss. Click. Annoyed. Finish up. Walk outside bathroom. Click. Realize there's no consistency to the clicking sound. I can't even expect it. It happens whenever. Sit back down and continue to watch movie. Turn volume down since the wind isn't howling. Clicking speeds up. Multiple times a minute. Fuck it. I'll go take a nap or something on the other side of the cabin so I can't hear it. Walk into bedroom. Clicking begins. My bedroom is like 50 feet from where the TV is, but the click is just as loud. Like it's fucking following me. Try to ignore it and go to sleep. The inconsistency of the clicking breaks me. Throw on snow gear. Time to fuck up this branch for making me go outside. Walk to door and brace myself. Open it swiftly and feel Old Man Winter fuck me up the ass. Quickly walk out and shut the door. Walk around cabin in blinding snow, looking for a branch like an idiot. Make multiple laps, and I can't find the asshole. Assume it finally got loose and flew away. Go back inside. No clicking. Feels good, man, .jpg. Go to take that nap in peace. Fall into a deep slumber. Wake up at about 2 p.m. Click, 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 click. Start to feel uneasy. Don't give it a second thought, and I throw on snow gear. Go outside. No branches. No howling. No nothing. Go back inside, and go from mad to upset because I can't figure out what the fuck the sound is. Click, 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 click. Walk to different rooms to try and escape it. Click, 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 click. How the fuck is it following me throughout the cabin? Moment of realization. It's not coming from the sides of the cabin. It's coming from the roof. All rational thought has gone out the window. from the sound of this fucking clicking. Snow gear and walk outside. Storm has calmed for now, but it's still foggy. Can only see like 20 feet ahead of you. Walk around back and grab my ladder. Prop that shit up. This ends now. Begin to climb up ladder and stop. I could only hear the clicking inside, even over the howl of the wind. DEFCON 2X warned me about this. Climb up high enough to be able to see the top of the roof. At the top, I see a pale figure. Heart stops. DEFCON 1. The figure is hunched over. It's sickly thin, and I can see its spine. It's angled where it can't see me, but I can see it. See it moving slightly. Look slightly down, and see it has, on hand, a fingernail that's probably 6 inches long. Literally just tapping the roof. It stops. It slowly turns its head to me. Black eyes, and small slit for mouth. No facial features beside that. Almost like a crude drawing of a fucking alien. Begins to stand up. By the way, it's true. Your life does flash before your eyes when you think you're about to die. It stands up staring at me. Probably 5 feet tall, give or take. Walks the edge of roof of cabin, never taking its eyes off of me. Hops down on the ground. I can see it land, and it slowly backs away into the fog, towards the trees. Never stops locking eyes with me. Petrified. Probably didn't move for 5 minutes, or at least felt like it, in the blistering cold, gripping a ladder. Snap out of it. Climb down ladder carefully. Don't even bother to take it down. Realize I'm in shock. Calmly walk around cabin and go inside. Walk around house and turn off lights and put out fire. Grab keys and walk out. Don't bother grabbing anything else besides my wallet next to my keys. Storm has picked back up, but I literally am in some kind of trance. I don't even notice. Close door and don't bother locking it. Slowly walk to car. Open the door. Get in. Start it and swing around. Still in shock, I drive for hours until I reach a motel. Shock is wearing off, and I can feel myself ready to go fucking crazy. Quickly get a room, and now I start feeling adrenaline, and rush up to my room, open it, and close it, and start freaking the fuck out over what I saw. For a few hours, I was freaking out in the hotel room. I calmed down and slept for about 16 hours. I drove back up to the cabin, fucking bolted inside, and grabbed my phone. I ran out and locked the door and got in the truck, and sped off. After reading all of the stories on X, I was more surprised than anything that I didn't immediately flip out, but just went into shock for hours. I got home a few hours ago after driving for a while, and stopping multiple times to breathe and not flip out again. I think one thing people forget to mention is that fear comes in waves. I'd be driving and be totally okay, then suddenly, it would hit me, and I'd have to pull over and just sit in my car while I calmed the fuck down, and didn't drive like a paranoid schizo or something. Came home and made myself a drink and typed all of this out. Don't know what I'm going to do with the cabin. Don't care right now. Night, assholes. Thanks for listening. Oh, and no, I didn't smell blood or copper. Grab some guns and friends and go cryptid hunting. I guess I'll respond to this one since I went to brush my teeth and just came back to turn off my computer. Fuck that, man. These people who say they try and hunt these creatures after seeing them are LARPing. I have zero desire to try and fuck with that abomination. I'm not about to risk my life, or people I love, on some fucking meme hunt for a creature I believe is intelligent. This isn't hunting a deer. It's not like a deer will come attack you while you're walking through the forest. It's like hunting another hunter who knows the woods better than you can, and obviously can climb since he was on my cabin. Don't believe these fuckers on here who say they stayed and tried to kill it or whatever. No man would ever see something like that and think to stick around. Post your own creepy experiences. I'll post a few of my personal stories, starting with my most recent. Be me, about a year ago, living alone in a small apartment that used to be at the attic of an old house. In my bedroom/living room, there was a window. Pig related, not the one I'm talking about. Was barely getting by, and usually only ate once a day. Started having trouble sleeping. For some reason, my attention was always directed at the window whenever I lay in bed. There was no curtain, so it was just a view into the darkness of the night. I started having weird dreams and nightmares every night about nonsensical things. One night, I am suddenly awoken by the sound of tapping on my window. I nearly shit myself and turned to look for whatever it was. There was nothing there. The tapping was way too deliberate and loud to simply be rain or anything like that. This happens every night for about 2 weeks. At the end of the second week, I am sleep deprived and paranoid. I tried to record the window, but my phone would always run out of disk space before anything happened. Always happened between 1 and 3 a.m., give or take 30 minutes. The last night that it happened, I suddenly woke up to find myself sitting on my bed, but the bed was placed in the middle of the forest at night. Obviously, it was a dream, but it felt real at the moment. The only source of light is a small oil lamp placed to the right of the bed. Feel a chill run down my spine as I notice something else. Something is sitting next to the oil lamp and staring directly at me. It was only a few feet tall, but it radiated a numbingly terrifying presence. The flame started flickering as if it was about to go out. The thing starts talking. Your flame is dying. What will you do when you are alone in the darkness with me? Getting goosebumps just thinking about it. About a second goes by, and then the flame dies out. I'm immediately woken by violent banging on my window. I turn to see a dark shape move swiftly away from the window. Moved back in with my parents after that. Hasn't happened since. Ozark friend here. Got trapped in a fucked up cave once. Story follows. Be me, 10-ish. Mom, sister, and I used to go hiking a lot. There's a relatively accessible cave network a few miles south of us. Lots of different caves, from big open ones to what are essentially crawl spaces, or quote-unquote wormholes, where you have to army crawl and exhale to make yourself smaller. As a brief aside, if you're the kind of insane fucker that goes through wormholes and squeezes, you should thank God every single time you step out of a cave. I'd never even go near that shit, let alone any cave after what we went through. Anyways, can't remember the name of this specific cave. The entrance has a rock propped up against the wall nearby. I guess to keep black bears and snakes and shit out overnight. We have our Shih Tzu, Lucy, with us. Mom doesn't want to carry her ass, so tie her leash to a stand outside the cave. A couple spelunkers are leaving the cave as we go in and chat with my mom. This isn't really a beginner cave. You and your kids will have an easier time just hiking. Mom says, fuck that, we came to a cave network to go in caves. Sue yourself, bitch.jpg. We get into the cave and turn our lights on. Wow, it's made of rock and it's wet. I spent the whole time looking for cave paintings and dinosaur bones, because I am retarded. Sister is always fucking with me, trying to convince me that there's a bear in there who hasn't eaten. Shit like that. Shut the fuck up, dude. Bears are cool. Maybe 10 minutes go by, and we're a few chambers in. The only way to go further in is a squeeze, like 9 inches tall. Pretty wide. The sheet of rock above it has a crack separating it from the main cave, but there are some metal supports or some shit. It's hard to remember. Looks like it was designed to crush people. Fuck that. Sister starts freaking out, saying she heard something. Pretty sure I heard it too, but I just assumed it was her trying to fuck with me again. You're stupid, I'm not falling for it. Mom tells us both to shut up. Silence for a little bit. Hear something coming from deeper in the cave. Can't make it out, but my sister and I flip our shit. Mom says it's probably just wind at the other end of the cave. We decide it's time to leave, cause we can't go any further. Start heading back out. Pretty easy. There's a couple spots you have to climb up and drop down, but nothing that requires any real athleticism. Get to where the entrance should be. The rock fell over it, or it was pushed. Either way, we're sealed in. Mom tries pushing the rock, but she's too short to have any real leverage. We try yelling, but not even Lucy is barking at the noise, and she's pretty close to the entrance. Batteries on flashlights pretty low, but Mom packed spares. She says we shouldn't use them yet, unless we need them. Wait around for a while, yelling sometimes, trying different ways of pushing the rock. Mom decides it's time to try heading for the other end of the cave. We make our way there, trying to use a flashlight only when necessary. Mom ends up falling down a 3 or 4 foot drop. I fall with her. Not too bad, but scary. We make it back to the squeeze. Mom's kind of overweight, and she can't fit. I'm too young to be trusted to find my way through, I guess. Tells my sister to get to the other end of the cave and find someone who can lift the rock. Sister is 13, and she's freaking the fuck out, but she's a champ. She takes the flashlight and makes her way in. Mom and sister are talking to each other through the squeeze, figuring the whole thing out, I guess. Sister stops replying after a little while. Mom hysterical, trying to call out to sister, but trying not to be too loud and cause a collapse or something. Eventually, she's quiet, listening for a response. I think she's crying too. We hear rocks moving from the other end of the chamber. People calling, "Anyone in here?" See flashlights. Fuck yes. The same cavers who we met on the way in, were leaving for the day, I noticed our dog still tied up and the rock over the entrance, and put 2 and 2 together. Mom explains that sister's looking for the other end of the cave. Dude pushes past us immediately and climbs through the squeeze. We watch his feet disappear, and his buddy explains that the cave doesn't have another end. It's about 1.5 miles long, and there are a lot of really tight interconnected tunnels. It's basically a maze past a squeeze, and most of it hasn't been fully explored. Mom loses her shit and starts yelling to the guy, who went in after sister. Guy with us grabs her and tells her to stop, that she's gonna cause a collapse, and we just have to wait. I don't remember a lot of the waiting. Mom and this guy talk for a while, and he tells us stories about the other caves, and all the crazy shit he and his buddy would do. Seems like a really cool guy, honestly. Eventually, we hear voices from the other side. Sister is crawling towards us. Dude is crawling behind her, telling her, "It's gonna be okay. We're almost there." She meets us, and my mom rips her out of the crack and squeezes her, all the while saying, "I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Dude comes out shortly after and says my sister was unconscious. She must have hit her head. Sister isn't talking. She's just staring at the flashlight. We make our way out of the cave. Dog is happy to see us. Mom makes a joke about Encino Man, which I'm way too young to get at the time. Sister is covered in scratches and has a gnarly bruise on her arm. On the drive to the urgent care, my sister whispers that she didn't hit her head. She leans in really close and says, "It grabbed me." I try to get her to explain, and she won't. Nurse says there aren't any obvious signs of a concussion, and she can't find any bumps on sister's head. Just treat it like a concussion and keep an eye on her. For anyone pissed that it's a long story and not much happens, I'm sorry. I figure this is much better than family of 3 found dead in local cave system. At least for me it is. It took my sister 3 months to really start talking all that much again, even with therapy, which I don't really think made a difference. And to this day, she still won't talk to me or anybody else about it. I've tried talking to my mom about it, and she just acts like it was that crazy time we got trapped in a cave. She even talks about wanting to go splunking again someday. Just her and my stepdad. Fuck that. Not me. Be me. Grandpa owns over 3.8 billion acre dense forest that no human has ever set foot in since the Cambrian explosion. Decide to go camping in a woods. Sort of into case shit, nothing special. Bring some light stuff. Didn't go too crazy on it. Brought my dad's M119 howitzer with bayonet just in case. Go out in my 3-story tent. Pretty normal until nightfall, where it gets really crazy. There was no sunset. It went immediately from high noon to the dead of night in a literal second. Like real life had just become some kind of shitty and obviously fake horror story with over 3,000 cliches. Suddenly, I smell something like rusty blood and old metal, or salty coins and milk. It's hard to describe and or remember. I see a humanoid figure in the tree line, about 6 inches away from my face. Holy shit, it's a walk skinner. I can barely hear it, and it shouts from the tree line, "Give me $20. Fire my howitzer at it. It misses, explodes, pisses off the walk skinner. Start to run away. Can barely make it the distance from my campsite back to civilization. My house was like 10 feet away, but my feet were really sore. Start to write this story. Do the captcha. Post it. Did you died? This is Anand's dad posting from his smart fridge. He didn't die, but 1 year later, I have a time machine so I know, he had an encounter with the skin skinner which didn't go so well, and he ended up dying. To heart failure. Not to the skin skinner, but it's kind of a crazy coincidence. Rural friend from Gasconade County, Missouri. That's Missouri for you fellers out in the sticks. I have a story that's not spooky, but involves some dumb shit that my grandpa, aka Pawpaw, used to do. 9 years old. Parents were shitty alcoholics, so they used to drop me off with my grandparents pretty much every week. They got a little too drunk one weekend and tried to drive, and that was the end of them. My grandparents were way too old to really watch over me at that point, so Grandpa had this trick to keep me in line. Next to this chair, he used to keep this cardboard cylinder, one of those from a used up paper towel roll. Before I ever went outside to play, he would say, "Don't go anywhere you're not supposed to, because my truth-telling stick will find you out." I would look at that stupid roll of cardboard with wonder in my eyes, thinking it was magic or something. "Yes, Papa," I'd say, and then I would go play, being extra careful not to do anything bad. Every time I returned home, Grandpa would pull out his truth-telling stick again. He'd look at me through it, like a pirate with a telescope. "Where you been today, Sonny?" "The woods, Papa." "Good boy. Now go get your bath." This became a ritual. Even after I stopped believing in it, Grandpa just used the truth-telling stick to mess with me. Here's a stupid example just to give you an idea. One time we're eating supper, and Grandma asked me how I liked the stew she made. I told her I liked it fine, and Grandpa pulled out the truth-telling stick from out of nowhere and said, "He thinks it's salty." Just dumb shit like that. Also, when I was 14, I developed this huge crush on a girl from school. One time she came to our house for a get-together or something. I was too much of a pussy to make a move, but Grandpa knew I liked her, so he offered to quote-unquote read our fortunes with that damn cardboard roll. Cringe department, please hold. After sizing us up for a moment, Grandpa said, "You two are destined to get married." Super embarrassing, but it broke the ice, and she and I ended up laughing about it and talking. Afterwards, while everyone was inside, we ended up making out behind the house. Base department. Anyway, Papa did all sorts of shit like that. Like he used to say that his truth-telling stick could predict the weather. I'd ask him to make a prediction, and he would be right every fucking time. Obviously, he had some trick, but it was still impressive. Anyways, he died a few years back. It was a very dark time for me. A few months before he died, he and I had some really serious talks. Stuff I never talked about with anyone, like my parents, and how angry I was with them. Those talks were the first time I really confronted the fact that, one day, Grandpa would die too, and I would be left alone all over again. I don't know if that sounds cheesy, but I got kinda scared. And then, he fell ill. On his deathbed, he made me promise to keep my inheritance safe. I was confused till I realized he meant the truth-telling stick, and I laughed. I thought it was another one of his jokes, but he got really serious and told me to promise him that I would use it sometime. So I promised. Anyway, after he died, I was really grief-stricken, and I wound up picking up that stupid roll of cardboard and looking through it, and I saw there was a paper rolled up inside. Before I even opened it, I realized why the old man had promised me that I wouldn't throw it away. It was a simple letter. "This is the truth. I love you, son. You crazy old dodger. I miss you, Papa." I never knew my grandpa that much, but he grew up in East Germany, and he passed away recently. He told me a shitload of stories about life under the DDR, and most of them were steeped in spooks and happenings, so I'm gonna post a few. Big Grandpa, named Otto, 9 at the time of the story. Parents lived in Dresden. Place is a shithole from Allied bombing in World War II. Moved to the countryside after inheriting grandparents' farm. Place is in a pretty pleasant and cozy section of hills and lowlands, dense with forestry. Playing near the woods. Accidentally kick ball into the forest. Completely lose sight of it. Scared of the woods, 'cause little kid. Go get Papa to help me get it. Dad seems nervous too. We both go back to the farmhouse. Dad leaves me there. He takes his old hunting rifle. Technically illegal for him to own this time of year, but he didn't care. Sit inside playing with a train set. Hear a gunshot from the woods. Run outside to investigate. Dad is walking back with a ball under one arm. No rifle. Looks shaken. Gramps wouldn't learn what his dad did in the woods until he was 19, so I'll share that part of the story. Be Gramps, 19, talking with Dad over a beer about childhood memories. Asks him about the time he lost his ball. Dad sighs, shrugs. Which took it? Laugh. Dad is deadly serious. Feel my stomach churn. I didn't want to leave that rifle there, but it was cursed. Any tool that draws a witch's blood is. Suddenly, don't want to drink anymore. Be Grandpa, 21, working parents' farm, toiling the fields, planting wheat. Stop to have a drink and cool off, sitting on the porch with a clear view of the tree line. See the branches rustle. The fuck? Stare intently as the treetops rustle like something was moving between them. Incredibly tall figure emerges. Easily was eye level with the treetops. Towered over me and even the farmhouse. Wearing animal pelts and carrying 2 dead bulls like they were potatoes. It notices me, grunts. Says something that sounds like absolute gibberish, in this voice so deep and booming I could feel it in my bones. Walks back into the woods. Next day, Dad, who was in his 70s and still living with Gramps at the time, forces me to leave a dead cow at the tree line. It's completely gone by noon. Never see anything take it. Last one for now. Be Grandpa, 13, visiting a friend's house. Friend is a Polak, speaks German but in a Pole accent. laugh at his voice a few times, start playing football with him in the backyard. Easily passed most of the day doing this. It's getting very late. Sun's beginning to set. Go inside and eat dinner with friend and his family before going to walk home. On the walk home, notice that there's a new dirt path through the woods that wasn't there before. Knew Dad was going to chew my ass out for being late. Decided to explore it anyways. It's pretty short, but leads to a little grove that is absolutely surrounded in a dense wall of trees. There's a very shabby looking cabin in the middle. Looks abandoned, but the lights are still on. Distinctly smell a stew being cooked from the cabin. See the lights quickly turn off, and just barely make out this little old lady emerging from the cabin holding a huge stick and a lantern. She shouts at me, "Hello, dearie. Do you want to join me for dinner?" Shout back, "No thanks, miss." She shouts back one last time before I walk off, "But you look so plump and delectable." Runs off back to home. Dad chews me out for being late. Don't bother telling him about the weird witch lady. I don't know why people make up skinwalker stories. The shit animals do in the wild is often way fucking scarier. I work primarily as a hiking guide in northern West Virginia. It's very beautiful and there's a wide variety of trails that people love to walk on, and it's a job that I love to do myself. This story happened a few years ago in the spring of 2019. I was leading a group of 4. 2 of them were veterans, apparently on some type of PTSD therapy retreat, and the other 2 were a middle-aged dad and his kid, who I think was about 13 or 12. I only work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., but due to a scheduling error, this hike was a lot earlier than I'm used to, at 6 a.m. I was wide awake, and it wasn't pitch black out, so I knew this story isn't the result of sleep deprivation or seeing the shadows move. We had gotten halfway through the trail. It was quite a short one, and we were taking a break because the kid tripped and got his knee hurt. One of the veterans was looking over it, making sure he was fine, and I was looking out into the woods, waiting for them to wrap up. It was about 7:30, if I remember right, and it was a bit hard to see into the denser part of the woods, but I saw a coyote very slowly approach out of the woods and near the trail. Coyotes are usually spooked off by groups larger than 3, and I was expecting it to scamper off. I noticed pretty quickly, though, that it seemed to be very injured. One of its hind legs had been gnawed down to the bone. I didn't get a clear look, but it was like it had been degloved, aside from a few bits of sinew clinging to it. The coyote looked very haggard too, like it was tired and probably sick. I kinda felt bad for it, and went to grab my phone and report to one of the local rangers that there was a sick/wounded coyote out here that didn't look like it was caused by anything natural. And that's when this massive fucking buck bounded out from the woods. Now, I was at a distance from all of this, but from my estimation, this thing would have easily towered over me and even one of the veterans, who was this 6'6" brick shithouse. I instinctively backed up, knowing not to fuck with this thing, as I watched it just start to rip into the poor coyote. It stomped it into the dirt and mutilated its corpse. It kept ramming its antlers into the coyote's corpse and rending backwards until the poor thing was ripped to sinew.